Hello, and welcome to Addicted Like Us, a podcast discussing all things written by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm your host, Haley, and today I have Zoe, aka Dear Reader Zoe, with me to talk about Long Way Down, Book 9 in the Addicted series. As a quick recap, I'm Haley, a longtime reader and lover of Krista and Becca's work. I'm also a part-time illustrator, and I had the privilege of working on the special edition covers for the Leica series. Now I just love to spend my time talking about all my favorite books, aka anything written by Krista and Becca. So the Addicted Like Us podcast was created so I could sit down with friends and discuss all of our thoughts. So let me introduce you to Zoe.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Like Haley, I'm a longtime Krista and Becca fan, or more accurately, I feel like fangirl,
Yeah.
obsessor, that kind of vibe where just exactly like you said, it's always great to be talking about Krista and Becca, and that's largely what brought me into social media and connected me with Haley and so many other Callaway fans. So I'm really happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. So, really fast before we dive into this discussion, issuing a massive spoiler warning. If you have not read Long Way
Yes.
Down, you will be spoiled. Make sure you have read this book before listening. Um, this will be the part one of the discussion. We'll see how many parts we get out of this book. It is a chunker. I know Zoe is a very big Razy fan, and we love to talk. So I anticipate it's going to be a
Yes,
couple
it's gonna,
of episodes.
I feel like we could talk about it forever.
Yeah, we probably could. So, kind of recap of what has happened in the series up to this point. Let's see if I can do this as concisely as possible. But basically, um, we finished up with Feel the Fire, which saw Rose and Connor kind of facing this media shitstorm. And the end result was that Rose and Connor, they were all living in a house together. All six of them, Rose, Connor, Reich, Daisy, Lily, and Lo, were all living in a house together. Um, Rose and Connor moved out at the end of Fuel the Fire. They are in their own house, still in the same gated neighborhood. They have been experiencing, like, their fame is just increasing. It has not gone away since Addicted for Now. It's just increased with like each book basically. So they live in this gated neighborhood. They also just got rid of Scott Van Wright, who was the executive
Finally.
producer of Princesses of Philly and Kiss the Sky. He was a shithead then. He was still a shithead in Fuel the Fire. We did discover that he had illegally recorded Daisy in pornographic situations and kept those recordings to watch. She was a minor when he had these recordings. And it's illegal to have recordings of minors doing sexual acts. So he was arrested, but
Thank God.
obviously, yes, thank God. But it does mean it's dredging up a couple of things for Daisy too, because again, she has been violated. She has been violated quite a bit.
So many times.
In Hot House Flower, we saw her in the Paris riot. She was like physically hurt, has a scar on her face now. We also learned about her high school friends bullying her. And then we also know about the cameraman that broke into the townhouse that they were in while filming Princesses of Philly and was taking pictures of her while she was asleep. So at this point, we know that Daisy has depression and PTSD. She was suffering from insomnia too. In Fuel the Fire, she has moved to a different therapist. She's now seeing Connor's therapist, Frederick.
Yes. We love
And
Frederick.
we do love Frederick. Frederick has been helping her, so her insomnia is kind of going away. He's a good fit for her. What else? What else? The big thing. So, also at the end of Fuel the Fire, we discovered that we already knew that Daisy struggled to come with other sexual partners and even sometimes occasionally with Reich.
Yeah, and
She has
her
a low
low
sex
sex drive.
Yeah, we know she has a low sex drive, and then at the end of Fuel the Fire, we found out that she had been going to a doctor and they found that she has endometriosis. She has cysts on her ovaries, and it's going to make it extremely difficult for her to have a kid like carry a kid to term, have her own baby and carry it to term. And it was really sad for her because that's something that she really, really wants. And Rose promised that if nothing else, if all else, she would try and carry Daisy's baby as a surrogate. And that was essentially where we kind of left that topic, that Rose would be there to help Daisy through her fertility struggles in this book, for the rest of the series.
Yeah. And I guess obviously all readers will know as well that we also have Mothi and Jane with us in the cast now, which is it's so adorable.
We've got the babies, and that was a really, really long podcast, but that was a really, really long recap, but we're also at we're almost at the end of the series.
Yeah.
And there's a lot we need to talk about. I'm sure it'll come up. There are details that I know I missed, but they'll come up in the book as we talk about them.
Yes. I think that was a great recap because all of those points were very important to immediately where we pick up in the book.
Pretty much. All right. So let me read Long Way Down synopsis. With a 7-year age difference, Reich and Daisy have faced an uphill battle in the eyes of the world and their families. Known as the most adventurous, fast-paced couple, their next step has always been elusive to the rabid media. Behind the scenes, heartbreaking troubles continue to test Reich and Daisy's resilience and shape their future together. They promise to never slow down, to never compromise who they are, to never abandon their love for each other. But preserving their happiness also means adding more risks, one that Connor Cobalt wouldn't even take. As a professional free solo climber, Reich is no stranger to risk, but his next step with Daisy wagers more than just his health. With their lives on the line, Reich and Daisy head toward the vast, wild unknown. So let's talk about Long Way Down.
Exciting.
It is. All right, so we kick off with the most iconic note from Reich.
Yes.
Fuck off.
I love it. Just the page, iconic.
I know. It is so perfect. So
concise. It says everything it needs to.
It does. Gets the message across. We get it. All right. So then we go into the prologue. And it's Reich and Daisy. It's early morning. They're getting ready to go bungee jumping in Cancun, so we can place this as the spring break trip in Addicted for Now. That's when this prologue is taking place. It's right before sunrise. They want to try and bungee jump at sunrise in Cancun, and they're just kind of Reich is continuing to get a better sense of Daisy, because at this point they haven't really spent a lot of time together. He's 16 at this point, and he's 22, I think is what he said he was. Yeah, he's 22 at this point. So, she's
the only thing I can think of before that is, a party.
Yeah, the Ricochet when they were at that gala, and then also on her birthday trip to Mexico.
Yeah. So it's always been kind of with Lily or someone else.
Right.
And Reich even says, this is my first real time alone with Daisy Calloway.
Yeah, he hasn't hung out, with her solo. But nobody else wanted to go bungee jumping. These two, that's right up their alley. So they're going to go do this. But
also, I think it shows something that's so core to Reich's character is that he won't let Daisy go alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel I think he even says it, that it's her activity, she really wants to do it. And everyone else has bailed. But he's even if he didn't want to do it, which he would, because that's who he is. I feel he would, the prologue just shows that he would go anyway. Yeah. Just to be with her.
Yes. And he talks about how he can kind of, at this point, he already sees how similar the two of them are, because he was always that yes kid to his mom. He never really stuck up for himself and said exactly what was on his mind. It was just whatever my mom wanted to do, yes mom, I will do that. And he can see that Daisy is basically a mirror image of that. He really wants to, he feels that connection, and it's I didn't being that yes kid, and I can he's already sensing that she struggles with it, wants to help her find her voice too. So he's kind of he's asking her what's what's eating you? And she's like, mosquitoes. And he's like, you're bullshitting me right now. Tell me what's actually like on your mind.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on. Don't just like
Give the same
try and
like
just,
happy
yeah,
facade that she gives
don't
everyone else.
distract me. Don't make fun of like,
Yeah.
make a joke or whatever. Straight out tell me what's going on. What's on your mind.
That's, I think, honestly, one of my favorite things about that is even from the beginning, Riker's always been able to see through Daisy's like, mask that she shows everyone else. He's always kind of just seen who she is and had that like adorable concern
Yes.
and just like pure care for her.
Absolutely. And then yeah, there's like a bit too where it's just so subtle. It's not even like a big thing, but at one point he notes that there are these two guys checking her out, and like
Yes.
at this point she's a model, but this is before her like big supermodel. Like Lily's addiction has not gone public yet, so Daisy's not necessarily like immediately identifiable, but even still, he can tell that like she's a model. She's been objectified her whole life. Like her body is like her work or whatever, and everyone like that's a whole thing with
Yeah.
her. And he sees these two guys checking her out, and he just like he moves so that they can't see her anymore, and she sees it. She's like, he just did that for me. Her smile has changed. She's really
Yeah.
happy, and it's like it's so subtle of like what he did, but it just like that's perfect for her. He knows
Yeah.
exactly what she needs. It doesn't need to be like some giant grand gesture kind of thing. It's just like, yeah, I'm going to stop these pervs from looking at you, and that's it. And she's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I love you.
And to him, it's so basic, but to
It
her, it's
is.
like one of the first times that she's been shown something like that. And I feel like also it's very symbolic for Krista and Becca's writing because there's so much, especially for Razy, or like maybe just because I'm such a massive Razy fan, like I see it so much more. But there's so much, like even at the beginning of Hot House Flower, or just like we're like what on page 6 now, that follows us through the whole book. Like these tiny little things that he
Yes.
does, and that's always like it's threaded through their whole friendship and then their relationship, and it's just
Mm,
so beautiful.
it is. So they talk a little bit about like her kind of like her sex drive, like how come she hasn't come with guys before, and we see just like how blunt their conversations are. Like there's no filter between these two. He's 22, she's 16, but like he's still very much a champion for finding her own voice, and in this instance like it's important that she can have her own voice in a sexual relationship with someone else too. So like if it's not working for her, he wants her to know like you can make your own choices with who your
Yeah.
partner is. You're not don't settle. So he is like trying to be open with her about that. And then she also talks about there's like a moment where she's like, you're gonna find some other girl, like I might not be here today or tomorrow, so I'm just living for today, and you'll eventually find some other girl and you'll call her sweetheart. He's like, you're the only person that I've ever called sweetheart.
Yeah.
And he says
I
it
love that.
he says like it's just because that's who she is. Like baby he finds kind of condescending, and when he says sweetheart, he's not ever trying to be like, I think a lot of women can have come across men that have been like, all right, sweetheart, and it is kind of a condescending
Yeah.
thing. But in Reich's case, he is literally just telling Daisy, like, she has a sweetheart. There's
Yeah.
no,
There's no undertone to it.
no, it's just that's who she is to him. And he's like, I've never called, I think he says it in his head, but like, he's never called another girl sweetheart.
Yeah.
It's just who she is to
Um,
him.
and I think that's great, like especially when you said about their conversation, because he even acknowledges like she's so young, she's underage, and maybe this is inappropriate, but he's always like I'm always just going to be truthful with
Yeah.
her, and like he
Yeah.
sees that Daisy needs someone who she can actually just like talk to rawly, and he
Mm-hmm.
pushes her to just actually say what she wants to say, and he gives her also the time and the space to like get the words out.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Ugh,
like this prologue is like what, like 8 pages or something, or like 10 pages, and it's just there are so many things.
I know. We're already, well, I mean, my recap was pretty long, but we're already like 16 minutes in and we've got, we're not very far. But yeah, it's just like, you see the foundation of who they are. That was always them. It's so good. And then finally it's their turn to go bungee jumping. They get all hooked up. And
And
it's
they're
just,
going together
yes, they are.
as well. Like they're not even just jumping at the same time or side by side. Like they're fully
Like
carabiners are
hooked
all
up.
like hooked
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
And they have to, like, so that they're not gonna, their limbs don't like smack into each other. They actually, like, they have to hold on to each other super
Yeah.
tight. And he tells her when they're about to jump, he like tells her, keep your eyes on the horizon, and they're gonna watch the sunrise as they jump. And she goes, what happens when the sun disappears? And he says, you wait for it to return, even if it's an awfully long time.
Oh. And again, that's just something that it follows through their whole story. And it's
Yeah.
so symbolic.
Yes. God,
We're
I
gonna
love
get like
that.
so emotional, like just in the
Mhm.
prologue.
Yes. So it basically ends with they jump, and Reich thinks to himself, thank God the sun will rise again. And now it's 4 years later. My God, how much I'm sitting here thinking, like, oh, it's been like, what, 11 years there so far? No, it's only been 4 years. Right.
Yeah,
Right. There's a lot that goes on in that 4 years. My God.
they really go through it.
Yeah, so now it's chapter 1, and Reich starts the chapter with, I've scaled mountains with my bare hands, no harness or rope. I've sped down freeways at over 100 miles per hour. I once dove off a 40-foot cliff, swam with sharks, jumped out of a fucking plane, whitewater rafted, class 5 rapids, ran an ultra marathon in a remote Chilean desert, and some months ago I underwent transplant surgery. All of those moments combined are easy compared to what's happening now. And like, if you don't know what's about to happen, you're like, oh my God, what crazy thing are you about to do now? But as like the reader, like as a rereader, I'm like, it's so cute.
Yeah, it is. Also because so many of those activities that he listed, he did with Daisy.
Yes, there quite a
So it's
few
like,
of those. Daisy was along, but also, yeah, but he is a hardcore man. He's done quite a few crazy things in his lifetime. And I wouldn't call this next thing crazy at all. It's just hard for him.
yeah,
And we do see, we get that moment, but then really quickly it also kind of switches to he is at home. So Lily and Lo and Reich and Daisy still live together. Rose and Connor were the only ones that moved out. Um, so they live,
and Willow
and
lives with them
Willow
now, and
lives with
Moffy,
them
of
too.
course,
Yeah.
little baby.
So they've got like a bit of a full house, but he's looking around and he sees Moffy's water wings and like all of these baby things kind of laying around the house. And it's just this one reminder of like uncertainty in his future of, is he going to be able to have his own kid? It's just like this quick reminder of like, we don't
Yeah,
know. We don't know if Reich and Daisy are going to have their baby. Being around their
yeah,
niece and nephew is kind of just this, it brings up these feelings of, we don't know, it's uncertain.
yeah.
Another big risk for them too.
That follows throughout the book. I think there are always like these happy moments or exciting moments. And then for Reich and Daisy, there's also just this bittersweetness, and they try
Yeah.
not to let it show, even though they can see it in each other. And the
Yeah.
others do kind of see it,
Yeah.
but it's and
Yeah.
it's really like just like hard for them because they don't know.
Yeah. I'd say it's like at this point everyone like understands each other and their wants and their desires for the most part, and they can kind of recognize when they're throwing up like a mask or trying to, like, I think at this point Rose and Lily can kind of tell when Daisy is deflecting a little bit because they
Yeah,
know her better.
they can see through her jokes a bit more.
Yeah, but they're still trying to like respect her space and may not like completely be like, well, I know what you're doing right now, but you need to tell me what's going on. Like there's still definitely a sense of that, of like, I know what's going on, but I'm still going to give you space. And I think that's the same with like all of the couples. They all starting to form their little couple units.
Yeah, I think Reich says it that way. Like he sees Lillian Lowe and Rose and Connor moving forward, and
Yeah.
Daisy and him don't want to feel like they're being left behind.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to feel that way when they see like their friends and their family have what they want, and
Yeah.
things are very uncertain for them.
So Reich is feeling super nervous right now, and Lo and Connor are like in the room with him right now, and they're making fun of him because like Reich is trying to fix his hair. This man
Yeah,
who just has like perpetual messy hair, messy bedhead hair, and they're like, "What are you doing right? This is not you."
the teasing is so cute, and it's
It's so
also
cute.
really touching because it showed like I think all the moments between like Wright, Connor, and Lo in the book are like,
Hmm.
look how far they've come. Like we're in book 9, but it's just so like they've
Yeah,
come
we're
so
in book
far.
9, but like, I mean, Addicted for Now was only 4 years ago. Like,
Yeah,
it hasn't even been it's not been that long. It's been 5 years, I think, for them. But like, how far
yeah,
they've come in 5 years, my
I
goodness.
know. Especially with like everything they've been dealing with, like we said, like they've dealt with so much with the public
Yes.
and fame and wow.
Yeah. But
And then
yes. Yeah. So they're
talking about
teasing
Reich's
him.
hair,
Yes.
and then even Connor goes in and he's like fixing it and
Yeah. He
like
fixes
trying
his
to
hair for him.
oh
And right as like Reich is like, all right, fine, everything, like I've got things set up the way I want them to. Like things are I'm gonna do this. And then he gets a text and he looks at it and it's from his dad and he's like, fuck this. This is a sign from the universe that like nothing's ever gonna go perfectly. And Connor's like, since when are you superstitious? That's Rose's thing.
yeah, that's Low. He's like, yeah, you sound like Rose.
Yeah. But yeah, so that I missed in the recap was that in Field of Fire, Reich donated part of his liver to Jonathan because Jonathan's liver is failing, and he was going to die. So he was an organ donor for him, and he had forgiven his dad for how he had treated Lo and how he had treated Reich when they were growing up. And like him donating his liver was like a step towards forgiveness, like a really big step towards forgiveness for Reich. And then it turns out that during his recovery period, Jonathan had spent that time and a lot of money trying to find out what Connor's sexuality was and outed his sexuality to the media and caused the shitstorm for Rose and Connor and then subsequently for everyone else. And that really hurt Reich because he thought his father had changed, but Jonathan was doing this for purely selfish reasons of like, I don't like how close Lo and Connor are. So if I
Yeah,
ruin Connor, then Lo will come back to me. And like they
yeah,
all saw that and that hurt Reich a lot. So he's back on rocky terms
yeah.
with
Because
Jonathan.
it took so much for him to
It
like
did.
even agree to the surgery and to like get onto feet that could that's not what I wanted to say. To get to a place where he could even think about forgiveness.
Yeah.
But
And I
Jonathan, he couldn't help himself.
no.
And he just
Yeah.
wants yeah, I think it's like he describes it as that he can't stand that Lo goes to Connor
Right.
rather than coming to him. Like he's completely unself-aware. And you just think the parents in this series would at some point learn that they continue to just do like awful thing after awful thing.
No, they're stuck in their old fogey ways.
Yeah. And we see that as well with we'll see it with the Callaways as well.
We sure will. Also, there's like this one little thing that pops up and it's Reich steps over Mafi's plastic Batman car and we see that he has a fixation with the DC superhero and it like hurts Lowe's Marvel loving heart. And this will
Yeah.
not go away. This is just the start. This is the start of
Yes.
it.
But I think it's also like really cute to see how even though Lo has this like really
Yes.
intense hatred or just like dislike for everything DC because his son wants it.
Yes.
And like Lo has grown so much and he loves Muffy so much that he's like, fine, this horrible thing can come into our home.
Yes, Lowe's love for Marvel was finally trumped by his son's love for a DC toy. And then Reich also in here, There's like a point where Lo is like, you want a drink? Because like Reich is so strung out. He's like, maybe a drink will help you. And Reich notes that like, while he would probably never crack a joke about drinking alcohol, he can recognize that like that's Lo's sense of humor. The hail sarcasm, that's it. And he can tell that Lo is in a much better place, and like he can make those jokes
Yeah.
and be okay. He has not felt the desire. Like his addiction has, how do I want to put this? Like
He's kind of over.
He's
beaten.
not overcome it, but like he
Yeah.
has learned to live with his addiction in a more healthy way, to where he can crack jokes about like, you want to drink and
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I feel
So
like it's not something that he's ever going to beat. Like Daisy and her depression, her PTSD, she has to live with it. But
mhm.
they have learned like great coping strategies, and they've grown so much. And it's great that he can use like his characteristic sarcasm and joke about something that was so painful.
Right, exactly.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
use it to help his brother.
exactly. Then the next chapter is Daisy. She is eating an ice
Her
cream,
chocolate.
her chocolate ice cream, and
Yeah.
we see Nutty, Coconut. That is her PTSD dog that Reich got her for her birthday in Fuel the Fire. Another new character.
So cute. It's
Little
like a
four-legged
husky.
character. Yes.
Oh,
But so she's eating this chocolate ice cream and it dribbles, and she's like, Coconut, you cannot have this. I'm so sorry, but this will hurt you. And I thought it was so funny because but we are recording this a couple of days after Daisy's birthday, which was February 20th. And I bought a chocolate cake for her birthday, and I ate half of it on her birthday, and then I had the
nice.
rest of it for breakfast today. And I
Nice.
have a dog too, and my dog was like, I want this. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
But no,
It's
honey.
poison. I know it's a horrible fact, gruesome really, but chocolate is toxic for dogs. I
Yeah, I
can
was
tell
just
you're
looking
taking
for
this
that
hard.
quote. He's just her manner of talking is so it's so great.
I
And
love
it's so sunshiny, just
It's
like
very
her.
sunshiny, very distinctly her.
And Coconut is such a lovely character.
Oh, yes. So she was hanging out with her sisters and Willow, and they had all gone to Rose's house to hang out for longer, but that meant that Jane and Mafi were also going to be with them. And again,
Yeah.
she's struggling with her infertility, like with her fertility. She has her fertility struggles right now, so it's hard for her, and she feels bad about it. But it's hard for her to be around her niece and nephew right now because they just remind her of what she may not be able to have. And they, like, she says that they all recognize it and, like, didn't press for her to stay or anything. But yeah, so she had to come home, have a little space from her sisters, which was that whole thing of like they recognize when like she'll try and be happy for her niece and nephew, but like he and Rose can recognize that it's a really hard thing for Daisy to have to go through. And so they let her have her space too.
Yeah. And I think Daisy notes, maybe not in this chapter, but throughout the book, that she never wants to associate Jane and Moffy with her
Yeah.
negative feelings. So sometimes it is just better for her to like take a bit of
Yeah.
time for herself.
Yeah. I thought she did say it in this chapter, but maybe not. No, I think it's later. I think I remember now. But yeah, so then Reich steps into the kitchen and they have their little flirty banter. She like, are you my
Yeah.
boyfriend? Do I know you? She like lifts up his shirt and she's like, he's got a 6-pack that's basically verging on an 8-pack. And she's like, my boyfriend has a 10-pack.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, really? That sounds impossible. Their banter is just like next level.
I
There's
just love
so
it.
much.
Their whole thing of like, I don't think we've met before. Are you fucking sure? Because I have a girlfriend who looks a hell of a lot like you. And she's like, you know what? It's not clicking for me.
I feel like a lot of the time also they kiss and they're like, oh yeah, now I remember.
Yes.
They're just like wild, chaotic energy. It's just like it. can't help but bring a smile to your face when you're reading.
And she's like, my boyfriend has a 10 pack. And he's like, that's impossible. She goes, are you making fun of my boyfriend?
Yeah.
And then they kiss, or no, he like knocks down, God, he pushes her hand into her face and she's holding the ice cream. So she gets the ice cream all over her face. And she's like, Reich Meadows would do that 100%. So you must be him.
They're so cute. And then they
Yes.
always have like they have that really fun, flirtatious moment, and then they kiss or they're like embracing, and then they have that softer moment where they're like, hi, and he's like, hi back.
Yes.
Really, that's like two words, and we're like, oh my God,
It's so tender.
it is.
But yeah, so he tells her like, let's go somewhere. I have something I want to show you. And
Yeah, he's
takes
leading her
her.
outside.
Yeah, he wants to take her out to the backyard. And they leave Coconut behind. But he does he it's one of those things where like if you want to take her, like I respect whatever boundaries and whatever however you're feeling. Like if Nutty needs to come with us because that would make you feel more comfortable, then she can. But she's like,
Yeah.
I want to be brave in this moment, so let's go on this
And Daisy
adventure.
doesn't even have to say anything. Like he just reads like the smallest like change in her facial
Yeah, she just
expression.
looks back at Coconut and he's like, she can come with us if you want her to.
Yeah. And I think there's a line here, it's like he's not put off by the idea of bringing her along on our mysterious adventure. And that's always like he's always like she's a part of us. Like she'll
Yeah,
just come along on all
absolutely.
the adventures with us.
Our
And
third
it's
little pea in the pod.
yeah, it's so cute.
And then so they're walking to the woods and Daisy says she steps on something and then Reich bends down and like flips a switch and there are these lights that light a path into the woods
Yeah.
and she's like, what? This is like big grand gesture kind of moment
Yeah.
for Reich. This
Like
is
the
not
woods with
like,
all these like fairy lights, just like magical.
yeah, it's very magical, but it's also like these two are extremely spontaneous characters and this takes some forethought and planning. So like this is like
She's
a
like, oh,
clue. There's something more going on here. And she's like, where does this path lead? And they're like, well, let's go walk it. And she's walking barefoot and he's in a very Rake Meadows moment is like, I should have made you put on shoes. And he's like looking back to the house and she's like, it's okay. It's just pine needles. But this man cannot help but care for her and be like, oh my God, are you going to hurt your feet? I should have planned this better. I will take care of you.
yeah, like what you were saying about it being like very grand gestury. Like Daisy states, like, oh, she doesn't consider Reich to be a romantic Scrooge because they have
Right.
their very own way of doing these really cute, coupley, romantic things. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, they're all very spontaneous. They're all very like in line with their adventurous spirits. And
Yeah.
this is like next level. This is something else.
Yeah, he really had to set this up. Like they're wandering back into the woods. They're getting away from the house. And she also talks about how like she's trying to figure out what this is because she says it's not her birthday, it's not Valentine's Day. She does say that she has been sad lately because of her fertility struggles and just life and Reich can recognize that so maybe this is him like trying to make her happy in this moment. She's still trying to piece together what's going on. She also says um then she can tell that he's feeling nervous and she's not sure what his nerves are because like again Reich Meadows is not that's not his character,
Yeah.
so she thinks it's because he's afraid of having sex with her, whether her sex drive, like if he's feeling aroused she may not necessarily always feel aroused and he could be in this moment and she wants to assure him like, yeah, I'll have sex with you, like I am feeling it, don't
Yeah.
worry, we're on the same page kind of thing.
Because he's always worried that like if Daisy can tell that Reg wants to have sex, is she gonna say that she wants to because she
Right.
wants to for him or because she's actually like in the mood
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, that's he asks her like, "Are you saying that for you or for me?" And she's like, "It's for both of us," which is a good
Yeah.
answer for him. Like it always has to include her in the answer. It cannot just be for him. He will not take that as an answer.
Yeah, and I think she states maybe yeah, like he's turned on by her being turned on. So like if
Yeah.
she's not enjoying it, he's not enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely not. And they finally get to the end of the path and it's pink rose petals and like bedding, like a white comforter with fluffy pillows on an air mattress. Like it's a very, it's continuing with the romantic theme of wow,
Yeah.
this is very special.
And then
And
all of that like magical clearing because there's still all the
yes,
lights near.
yes, the twinkle lights everywhere. She's like, "Did you do this all yourself?" And he's like, "I had help, like your sisters and Lo and Connor and
And
Willow
she
helped."
begins to like,
Yeah, and when he's like when he says that I had help, she's like, this is really big.
yeah,
And he starts off with his whole speech of I've been alone for most of my life and then I met you. He talks about like when he was in school, like he's comfortable with being alone, and when he was in school there would be days where he would just turn off his phone, go off into the wilderness and just be by himself just to like recharge, and he was
but
totally fine
now,
with that. Yeah, but now I go 2 days without seeing you days and it fucking kills me. I never thought I'd love someone this way. I never thought I could, but you've made me love my life more than I ever fucking have. And like, we're all sitting here going, okay, we know what's about to happen. And Daisy, she knows too. And she's like, wait. And it's like, no, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no. I don't want to wait. Just let him ask the question. We all know, we all know the correct answer.
I know.
But it's really hard for
It's so
her.
like her, like to always think of someone else as well
Yes,
before herself.
absolutely. I know. And in this moment, it's like, Daisy, this is your thing. This can be about you.
Yeah,
But she it's this whole thing. She says that Reich wants a family and she doesn't know if she can give him the traditional family that they're envisioning of she's pregnant and gives him a baby. And
yeah, and he's very much like, I think at first, like when she first is like, wait, he's like really scared. He's like, is she
yeah,
gonna
it's
say
like,
no?
yeah, but
But then he's like, he
it's
tries to
her
stop
thinking of
Daisy
him.
from, yeah, and he's like, no, that like this doesn't matter. Like
Yeah,
you're my family, like regardless of what happens in our future,
right.
like you're always going to be my
You're
family.
gonna
You're
be
always going to be
enough.
my choice. Yeah,
Yes.
you're going to be enough. That's such a like the perfect thing for this book, and the perfect thing for like right to Daisy. Oh,
But yeah, so he's like trying to reassure her, like, this is having you in my life is, and he's kind of saying it too, like, I go 2 days without you and it kills me. Like, he is trying to tell her that she is enough for him. Just her has changed his life so much. And he's trying to reassure her that even if they don't have, even if it's just the two of them, he will be happy. She has made him so happy and changed his life in so many beautiful ways. And he wants,
yeah.
yeah,
He says
so,
even all I need is you.
yes.
Oh, he's like, you're my family days. And if it's only the two of us in the end, I'd be just as fucking happy. I'm
Yes.
like, and you, like, it's such a beautiful thing for their relationship, but also it is bittersweet because you know that these two characters want a family so badly.
Yeah.
Like, they want their own kid so badly and they deserve it so much. And it hurts as a reader to be like, but please, just, have they not gone through enough?
I know.
Like, give these two the happy
Yeah.
ending that they
At this
need.
point, we don't know. We're like,
Yeah,
it's unknown for them and it's unknown for us, but I do love this beautiful reassurance. And so then Reich finally gets the question out. Will you fucking marry me? It cannot have, like, of course it has a fuck in it. It
yeah,
is the Reich Meadows way. But she
exactly.
says yes.
There's no other answer in my heart other than this one. Just
Of course
like
there isn't.
you knew it was going to happen, you knew she was going to say yes, but it's so perfect.
Yes. Yeah, like I
And
said,
then
there's
the
only one
ring,
correct answer, Daisy.
yeah, but it's nice that like she needed that reassurance.
Yes. I do appreciate that, like, it's very them to like, if there's any kind of it's that thing. He has given her her voice. And like even in the middle of this beautiful romantic proposal, she's like, I need to say this. Like I'm not going I can recognize that like you want this beautiful quote unquote perfect proposal, but like a perfect proposal is like the communication between the two of them and they had that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's such a core aspect of them as well. Like
Yes.
communication is like
Yes.
Razy at its core.
Yes. So beautiful.
So yeah, she says yes, and it's just like a really big win for these two. Like, yes, they're like one step closer
Yes.
to the life they want, the life they deserve, the happiness that they've
Right.
worked, like fought so hard for.
Yes, because there's also a moment in Feel the Fire where Reich was like, I'd marry her tomorrow if I didn't think like that her family hated the idea of the two of us together. And reference to like Greg and Samantha, not Lily and Rose. That part of her family
Yeah,
doesn't hate that, but like,
no, her
so
parents are
like
just,
even in the last book it was still like there's like this sense of hesitation between the two characters of like what is their next step, and we finally like okay, we're taking steps in a good direction. This is a good step forward.
because there's actually a line a couple pages back that I feel like it says like exactly what you've said just very well. Two
Yeah.
people who weren't allowed to love each other, two people who now unapologetically do. It's just like exactly like they've come so far, and they have now the support of Daisy's sisters and and Lo and Connor and reluctantly her parents.
Yes. It's still
Like it's
fun.
taken so long.
Yeah, and is it in this
Or
chapter
they
too, maybe later, he talks about how like he asked for permission from her parents at Jane's first birthday party. He had like he was trying to do it right, kind of, or at least like tell her parents like this is my
yeah, because
intention. I
he
want to
wants
be with
Greg
her.
to not be like an issue, not have Greg like
Yeah, their parents have already
hate
thrown
him.
up enough of a roadblock with their
Yeah.
relationship, and he wanted to make this easier for them. Like this one instance, it shouldn't be. There should be no roadblocks.
Yeah, he wants to make it easy for Daisy.
And then Daisy has her, I have this theory, magical things happen in the woods.
I highlighted that also just because it's so them, but also because of how Reich responds. She's like, I have this theory, and he smiles and is like, let's hear it. And you
Yes.
can just like you can just know that like Daisy would have said that to others in the past, and they might have like rolled their eyes and just be like, okay.
Yeah,
They
whatever.
just don't understand her. But for him, he's like, okay, like I want to hear it. He always is
Hit me
up
with
for
it.
her theories. Exactly.
Absolutely. And so,
But we have to talk about the ring because
yes,
Daisy's ring
it's,
is so perfect.
how does she put it? It's
It's the sun.
rectangular diamonds form rays around a circular yellow diamond. It's the sun.
Especially because Reich has referred to Daisy as the sun so much.
So much. She's our sunshine girl.
I know. I feel like we use the word perfect all the time, but genuinely, what else are we going to say? It's the perfect ring for Daisy.
It is.
And
It's
like Reich
so,
picked perfectly.
yes. And we'll find out later on, but I mean, he picked it out by himself. He did not, all he did was ask Rose for her ring size. But he didn't
Yeah.
like consult on like what style ring. That was all him.
And I think he even worries a little bit if Daisy likes it or wants something more traditional. She's like, no, it's perfect because he knows her at her
Yeah,
core.
I think it's a little later that she does that, but yes, he
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
I think that's maybe when they're telling her sisters.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. But yeah. So
They have their magical time in the woods.
they do, yes. Yes, they have sex together. And then, oh, that was the other thing about before that. So he proposes, and it was another bit of like, Reich just knows Daisy so well that it's just them. There's no like, you could see it in another instance where like, I'm going to propose to you, and then your family comes out from behind, like, as like a surprise, yay, congrats. He doesn't do that in this. It's just them because he knows that like she suffers from PTSD, and like surprises like that could really scare her, and he didn't want to
Yeah.
like even in this happy moment of like her family being happy and surprising her, like it could still trigger something, and he knows that and is like it's just us. And she
Yeah,
says that
even if
it's
it was
like
just the other core six, it would have been there's like a
yeah,
risk. And
no
then it
one
would kind
jumps
of put a
out
damper.
no one jumps out of the bushes or from behind trees, and I'm really glad he didn't invite my parents or sisters and make it a spectacle. This belongs to us. So it's like he's not going to scare her. They're just going to have this moment for themselves.
Yeah,
Oh, he knows her so well.
I know. And spectacle's a good word because I feel like it's very much like her modeling life, her life under like
Yeah,
Samantha's direction, the princesses of
everything.
Philly. It was all a spectacle, and she had so little choice in that. Oh, Phoebes.
Yeah, Miss Baby. You're so warm. Were you sitting out in the sun? Yes. It's cold out, so you're warm, which means you were baking in the sun.
Oh,
Yeah, so then yes, they have their magical time in the woods.
and it's good. Like, Reich checks in on her all the time,
Yes.
and we're happy for Daisy as well because she stresses so much about like, can I enjoy this
Right.
this moment, or are my cysts or anything going to cause an issue? And then she
Mhm.
worries like about how Reich feels if he's then like she worries about how he's worrying, and obviously she's acknowledging her own feelings more, and it's just like they get to have that perfect moment where
Yes.
everything like
It's so beautiful. So then, oh my God, we're only on chapter 3.
we're getting to the bit that you said now where so we just they're like relaxing together,
Mhm.
and she starts to ask like, do my parents, and he does
Yes.
then say that he asked them, and she's a little bit like
Yes.
for
They
permission,
know.
but
And
like it's good that they know.
yeah. He asked them if they'd be okay if I married you.
Back in June
And
as well. When is
yeah, and
this?
he
Like this is like autumn.
I think it's August. I think.
Okay, yeah, like
I
yeah,
can
end
check.
of summer because it's still like in the woods, in the pool.
Yeah, I can check. They've got their Chris and Becca have their
Yeah, the timeline.
timeline, not a calendar, extras, series timelines. August. Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a couple of months and he says like I wasn't ever afraid that she was going to say no. It's just like he so desperately wanted to give her this perfect moment. And he felt like every time he tried, there was one thing that was like, maybe not. It's not perfect at this time. I can't do it right now. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
he just wants to give her all
So
the happiness.
because if we go back to just chapter one where it was right, like stressing with his hair, and
Mm-hmm.
then like with Lo and Connor, and then his dad texts.
Yes. And he's
Is
like,
it the
God,
same day? It is the same day, isn't it?
yeah.
But it's like
That's why
there's
he
been
was
several of those moments before.
this is the universe telling me. And it was like, no, you've got this planned out. It will never be like a truly, truly perfect moment. You just need to ask her. Just make it happen. And he did.
And
He
it's
pushed
cute
through
how
it.
much he stresses about it.
I
Like for
know.
someone who's usually so cool under pressure, like
I
you can
know.
just like it matters so much to him to get it right for Daisy.
He's cool under certain pressures. He is still a
That's true,
hothead.
actually. He'd be
I'm
like
like,
part of
yeah,
the
I can
hot
kind of
temper
see it, but
triad.
also like he is no Connor Cobalt, he is not.
That's true. I'm thinking, yeah, like he's cool under pressure in his like adventuring
Yes. Yeah.
pursuits, but that's very, very true. With all that's been thrown their way, he's very
Yeah.
much in there with Rose and Connor, with like Rose and Lo.
Yes. The hot temper triad. They they persist. So he event like they had sex. He's trying to get her. He says like the goal is sleep. He wants her to be relaxed because she's scared of the dark. She has PTSD. They're in the woods. Like there are sounds going on around them, and like it makes her jumpy. So he's trying to relax her. He talks about certain climbing techniques and like things that he needs to do that he knows will bore her. Like
Yeah,
not super exciting things, just to sort of lull her into a more like sleepy calm state. And it's not necessarily working because she hears something in the woods and he thinks it's an animal, but Daisy's head is always gonna automatically go to it's another human and they're out to
yeah.
hurt me.
And he states like he never wants to discredit her or make her ever seem like or dismiss her and make
Yeah,
it seem like no,
you're
you're like
crazy. Yeah,
crazy.
no.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way her brain works, and he understands that she's gonna think differently than him. And the sound, she hears the sound again, and he like gets her attention. He's like, Daisy, you need to look at me. He pulls out the gun. He has a gun for her protection. We know that from Fuel the Fire that like Rose has a gun too, and Reich has a gun. And we already knew from Hot House Flower that he has a gun for her protection. And
Yeah.
he brought it with them.
Very planned
But
out.
yes. And she's
And yeah, it's
apologizing to
there to
him. And he's like, you don't need to apologize. Like this is how it is. But then the lights flick on and there's a switch by the house, and there was a switch by them. They didn't touch the light switch, so that means
Yeah, because they
someone,
turned them off
yeah,
and they were
yeah,
like chilling in the dark. But someone, yeah.
someone has
But
flipped on the lights.
Daisy had heard someone all along.
Yeah, yeah. So it is a human that did that. And Reich,
Like, understandably, they get very stressed.
yeah, and he like starts moving along the path, like trying to be like, who is this? Hey, like you're stressing out my girlfriend right now fiance. And he has the gun with him, and he sees a shadowy figure, and then my jaw hardens, my stance closed, and my lungs ready to explode. And then I recognize the person in the light. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I boil over, and my fingers nearly pull the trigger.
Who do we
And
think it is?
who could it possibly be? It's goddamn Jonathan Hale. He has,
Always
of
there.
all of the people to freaking crash their proposal night.
I know. Especially because, like, Reich's only pulled on his underwear. Daisy's, like,
Yes,
bundled up in the
Daisy's
blanket,
naked under a
terrified.
blanket. Nick had just pulled on his boxers so he could confront whoever it was and not be nude. But yeah, they're both very exposed. And Jonathan just like stumbles into the middle of this. He's like, I tried ringing the doorbell and nobody was answering. And I saw this path, like I saw the lights in the path. So I just followed it. And I was like, God, Jonathan, do you not respect boundaries? Like,
Exactly.
no one's
Like,
answering your phone, your texts. No one's answering the door. Like, can you just, nobody
they're
wants to talk to
busy.
you right
Can
now.
you respect that? I also think it's crazy. Like, he's just
And
like,
instead,
oh,
he's
okay,
just
I'm
like,
just gonna go over and make them talk to me. And like, what he would only go home if they were just not there. But it's like, bro, just
and do you not recognize like
wait until
beautifully
tomorrow.
beautifully lit path? Like no part of your brain was like, this kind of looks like a romantic gesture and maybe I shouldn't
Yeah.
crash the middle of it.
It's
No.
so the parents, like Jonathan Hale and the Calloway parents, that it's just like they need something or they want something, and they're like, okay, we're doing this now, like my way.
My way or the
I
highway.
need to
Yep.
talk to you, so I'm gonna come and talk to you, and I'm gonna interrupt anything and everything, and it's so frustrating. Like, and again, because back in Fuel the Fire, there's like Jonathan starts on his like redemption arc and his sobriety, and then it's like, oh, he's going back down the evil
Yep.
path.
Yeah, he says, "Do you really think I expected to walk in on this? Like, what were you expecting to walk in on? I truly want to know. What did you think this was?" Oh,
So,
Jonathan. But yeah, so he's like, I need to talk to you, but also there are two girls on your doorstep and they're like ringing the doorbell. And Reich and
yeah,
Daisy are like, okay, well, obviously it's not Lily and Rose because they would, like, Lily lives there. She would not be
and
ringing
it's
the
not
doorbell.
Willow
Yeah.
exactly.
And she was like, it could be Willow and Maya, but like, what are the odds
Like,
that
why
it's
would they ring the
them?
doorbell? Like, Willow has a key.
Right, exactly. And Willow is just with Daisy and like she knows what's going on. So it's not going to be Willow. Like, there's no way
Yeah,
that she would be
Rake
interrupting.
states that Willow helped Lily and Rose string up the lights,
Yeah,
which is really cute.
I know. I love that she was involved in it. So Jonathan is like, I need your advice, Reich. Like, I'm coming to you. I need your advice. And also, there are these girls. So Reich and Daisy have to pack up their romantic evening. Daisy,
Yeah.
like, wraps herself up in a blanket, like, wraps herself in the blanket instead of getting dressed because, like, Jonathan's right fucking there.
Also, I think she only had like her bikini or
Yeah, I don't know.
something.
She wasn't. She definitely didn't have a bra on. I remember that. She was like, "Do you like my
It
bra?"
was
And
like
he's
a
like,
t-shirt and like a swim pants or
"Yeah,
underwear or
something like that."
something.
So she just like wraps herself up in the blanket, and he's like, "Please don't flash my dad."
Yeah, so they're walking back to the house and she's gonna, get coconut, she's gonna get changed, and Rike is like, I'll deal with this.
Yes. So he first talks with Jonathan. He's like, "I'm gonna make this quick." What we discover is we know Willow Moore as Lo's half sister, um, from Emily Moore, Lo's mom. So they're like they were related through Emily. And what Jonathan has come to share with Reich and with us readers is that Willow is actually his daughter too. So Willow is actually Lo's full sister, which makes her Reich's half sister now.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Which
oh
is
my God.
crazy also because Jonathan is just thinking about himself. He's like, what do I do? But Rike's like, oh my God, Willow's my half sister.
Yeah, like Lo's affected by this. I'm affected by Willow, and Jonathan's just like, I should have gotten that paternity test. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Can you think about anything? But yeah, it's
anything but yourself.
yeah. Emily has told him this because she's seeing that Willow is kind of struggling financially while she is living with Lo in Philly, and she thinks that Jonathan, like, if she tells Jonathan, then he's a very wealthy man
Yeah,
and can
she's like, he can
provide
provide.
for her. So, guess what, Jonathan? You know what? Like, yes, you kind of deserve the rug pulled out from you a little bit. But he wants Reich's advice because Reich was in a situation where he knew that he had a relationship with, like, a blood relationship with someone in his life, and they didn't know. So, Jonathan,
Yeah.
like, Reich knew that Lo was his brother and Lo didn't know. So, he wants Reich's advice on, like, how should I approach Willow? So,
Which is
like,
so shitty considering that Jonathan kept Rike from
yeah,
Low. And now it's like you
just
are
kept,
in this situation of your own and you're going to go to the person that you mistreated for advice.
yeah, I know. The same,
The audacity.
it's that, yeah, it's that whole audacity, but like at the same time, at least I can credit him with like, at least he's like going to Reich first and not just being like, Willow, guess what? Like, at least
That's
he has
true. He has
a
grown a
sliver of
little.
tact. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're still a shitty person. Reich is worried because he's like, I don't even know if I want Willow to know this information. I have seen the way Jonathan treats women, and he treats them horribly. Like,
Yeah, even in
you,
how he's speaking to Rike about Emily.
yeah,
Like, he's awful.
you have not set any kind of precedent that you will treat Willow any better than any of the other women in your life. And like,
Yeah.
he talks about like, the only other, how does he put it? Like, the only, Lily is the
Oh
closest
God.
experience I have to raising a daughter, and she turned out to be a sex addict. So you can see I'm willing to take some tips. And it's like, fuck you, Jonathan. Lily turned out, she has her struggles, but she's turned out just fine. Fuck you.
I know.
Without any kind of assistance with you raising her. You did no such fucking thing.
Exactly. And it's also crazy that he thinks, like, why don't you also look at your own sons? Like, you raised them, like, quotes here, but did you really look at how they turned out? Don't go straight to Lily. It's so
So
unfair.
rude. So Jonathan is like, I want to talk to Willow about this, and Reich does tell him like, I need to think about this. We're dropping all kinds of bombs all over the place. Give me a minute.
Like you said, the end of that kind of scene is like Wright does ask Jonathan, what about Lo? Did you tell him yet? And
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh,
no, just you. And Wright's like,
yeah.
just me. So that he has very complicated feelings about his father. But
Yeah.
there, like you said, there is something about the fact that Jonathan, for all his faults and all his like awful way of approaching things and saying things, he did turn to Reich and is trying to
Right.
improve their relationship somehow.
Right. Because Reich is big brother. He now has two younger siblings. He's the older brother that Jonathan has to turn to for this. His eldest child. Yeah. So then Jonathan leaves and he agrees, like, all right, I'll wait. And I think Reich can sense that, like, there is a little bit of urgency here because Jonathan's only going to wait for so long.
That man doesn't have patience.
No, he doesn't. But Jonathan leaves and Reich goes out front to see who these two girls on his doorstep are. And who could it
Yeah.
be? It is Harper and Cleo, Daisy's ex friends. Yeah.
Yeah. When it rains, it pours. The
It
beautiful,
does.
perfect moment is now Jonathan with huge revelation, and then these two absolute like. There are so many villains in the Addicted series, and these two girls are really like up there. They're so like they just make my skin feel like ew.
Yes. So, as a recap, they were the girls that trapped Daisy in an elevator and almost made her put a dildo in her to show guy like prove to other guys how many inches Daisy could take. And then when
Yeah.
Daisy refused, they tormented her for 6 months. So he talks about like Daisy's PTSD. It's not just from Paris and being like hit in the face. It wasn't just the cameraman who broke into the townhouse and took pictures of her. Like it was literal
So many
months
things.
and months of torment. Like it's not just these
Well, she was so young as
singular
well, like high
events.
school.
Yeah, she had to go through months of this, of like he said titty twisters and like stuffing her locker and her just like having to constantly be hyper vigilant of herself so that nobody would hurt her.
And you can just imagine all the things that like Cleo and Harper, but then also like the guys that I mentioned, and just like the rest of their school would have said to her based
It's
on just
yeah,
because Lily's personal life was blasted out online.
it's this idea of them asking her to do that in the elevator. It's like where are their boundaries? Like what lines? That's a really big line to cross and like I don't
Exactly. And if she had been given into the peer pressure, right, to be like just this like so I can get out of this elevator or I can just get away from this situation. You know, and it happens so much, I think, with bullying when it's like, well, just do this. But then it's like once you do that, it's like you can see kind of how dark it could have gotten. They wouldn't have stopped.
definitely wouldn't have. No, they would have twisted it in some other way and tormented her. There was no good way to escape that for her, which is awful. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
And they're like the queens of gaslighting as well, because they act like they're still Daisy's besties, like they're helping her.
which I
Like,
still find really weird. So they're waiting out on the front stoop. And Reich says as he comes around, he says that they're scowling. They're like, one of them has this really annoyed look on her face, and the other one's scowling and looks equally as annoyed. And it's like, are you stupid? Like, we know why they're there and what they're about to ask. And it's like, this is the expression that you have on your face when approaching these people? Like, what is wrong
yeah,
with you? You can't even, like, you're such shitty actors. You can't even pretend to be like, I'm happy to be here. I know you're happy to see me. No, they're just
yeah,
scowling and so put off with like having to wait. Like, oh my God, I hate you guys.
they're awful.
But I do love that, like, he shows up and says, like, what are you doing here? And they're like, we're Cleo and Harper. I don't know if you remember us from like Daisy's birthday party. He's like, yeah, she's told me a whole lot about you too. And they're like, right.
They look at each other like,
We,
oh
yeah,
shit.
we know what we did. We know how Daisy could portray that. Yeah, dumb shits.
Yeah.
And he also asks, like, how the hell did you get into this neighborhood? Because the whole point of them living in a gated neighborhood was so that they wouldn't have random drop bys of people that they didn't want in their
Exactly.
lives. And that includes Cleo and Harper.
And they're just
And
like, we know people in the neighborhood.
yeah, he's
Ew.
like,
It's like, ew, now your like neighborhood is a little
yeah,
tainted. You're like, oh, my neighbors associate with these people.
yep,
Not that they've had that much like interaction with their neighbors, but still.
yeah. We'll get that eventually. But yeah, so
Yeah, they
they
act
don't.
like it's fine to be there.
Yeah. And he's like ready to tell them to get the fuck out. And they don't even tell him exactly why they're there. They just hand him this box and leave. And that's it. And he's like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like, here, this is for Daisy, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna go because they can tell that Riker's like got no fucks to give for them.
Absolutely not. So he comes inside. Daisy is sitting on the stairs. She's like, was
Yeah,
it two fairies? And he goes, more like two fucking devils. And she knew who it was. And he tells her, like, whatever's in this box, we can throw it away. And she's like, we should open it just to check. Maybe sniff it first because it could be quite literal shit. And he's like, I hate these people that that Daisy is expecting there to be shit in this. Like, that that's an
yeah. But it's
expectation
like
that
she's
they have
come.
given her. No.
Exactly, you just think about how awful the treatment was.
Yeah. So he looks in it, and it's a very expensive diamond bracelet. And
Yeah.
there's a note that they said, "It's been a few years since prep school, and we've had a lot of time to think and grow up since then. We know you have too. We know your family is planning another reality show, and we'd love to be a part of it. It could definitely help us repair the friendship we lost. We miss you, truly." For fuck's sake. That's Reich's addition
Yeah.
to this.
They very much put it on her like, oh yeah, we can repair the friendship. There's nothing to repair. You did, like, they're so delusional.
You completely, yeah, they're just so delusional, so, I don't know the right word, but like, we want to be
Out
on
of
this
touch.
reality show. Like, yes,
Yeah.
completely out of touch. Like,
Yeah, they're
I
very
hate
much
them.
like, you can have us on the show to repair the friendship. Like, Daisy's the one who needs to repair the friendship. Like, they're so, and the thing is, even I don't think they're that out of touch. They know they're in the wrong, but they don't
Oh,
care.
yeah. I mean, just like being so fucking blatant about like, we want to be on a reality show. I want to be famous too. Fuck off.
And also, how can, I think that's a theme that runs through all the books. Like, how can people look at how the media treats the core six and think, yeah, I want that. Especially as we'll see as we
Yes, we will.
continue with the chapters.
Oh, yeah. But it's definitely some. I was thinking about it, and because Reich talks about how the Calloway sisters have been approached multiple times for a second season of Princesses of Philly. It's nothing new. But also, we saw in Fuel the Fire that while Connor was trying to befriend Scott in order to take him down, there were the whole reason Scott was there was to try and get the Calloway
Another,
sisters
yeah,
on another season, and Connor had allowed certain rumors to, like, it was like a nurse when Reich was coming out of his transplant surgery, and Connor had said to a nurse, like, we're maybe considering another season of Princesses of Philly. And I am wondering if, like, some of these rumors that Connor perpetuated, like, did they somehow circulate to and made it to Cleo and Harper? God damn it, Connor.
yeah. I feel like that exists, as we kind of will see. There are just those rumors floating.
Yeah,
Like,
but yeah, it
the
could just be a whole thing of like people just want to see it, and it may not have come from Connor. It's just people constantly
yeah, I think
being
it's,
that close source when they're not.
they don't see or like want to acknowledge that they didn't enjoy that show. Like, that
Yeah.
show just brought like more negativity to them. But from their viewer perspective, they're just like, it was entertaining. You owe it to us. Like, we want
Right.
more. Give it to us. And just again, the audacity from like everyone else.
Yeah. I'll hold, like, I just had a thought, but I'll hold it until we get to maybe that bit of like, they know that Scott was the executive producer. Like, he was a shitty person.
Yeah, and
You
wouldn't his
still want them
arrest
involved,
and like his arrest and the reason for his arrest be public?
right? I'm pretty certain it
You
was.
would think that would be reported, and the public is still like, yeah, this is a great idea.
Absolutely.
No.
So
I
stupid.
think we've read it so many times that like our brains don't stay like chronological in order of
No,
events. So
definitely
we're
not.
like months ahead in the book.
I am. Oh, yeah.
And like we link together like the smallest things.
Yes. Tiny little detail. And I'm like jumping months ahead to some other thing. So, chapter 5.
Oh, but I love the line at the end
Oh,
when
yes.
like they've been dealing with this and Reich's like, I'm just here when she needs me, whatever she fucking wants. I'm here. And that's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
so, it's the basis of their whole relationship, I
It
think.
is.
And it's like the core of who they are. He's always there for her.
He
And
is.
I love every moment that is like reiterated or like emphasized again.
Absolutely. So, chapter 5, it's, I love the way it kicks off. Jane Eleanor Cobalt is speaking French. I should clarify. A 1-year-old baby is uttering French words. And it's
She's definitely
Daisy.
Rose and Connor's kid.
Oh, 100%. So it's Daisy and Lily um are watching the the babies, and this is the moment where she says, "I adjust Jane's headband, which has begun to fall off, something tugging inside of me. It's not a good tug. It hurts more than a little, and I try to hide any signs of this silent grief. I don't like that something so beautiful, my baby niece, brings these morose, contemplative emotions out of me. She should only bring joy. That's what babies do. So it's that bit of like, I don't want to associate like
Yeah, that's what I was
any
thinking of
negative
earlier.
any negative feelings towards my niece and nephew. Like, I want to be happy to be around them. And
Yeah.
there's like that, and she does, but it's that bittersweet feeling of like, will I get my own little baby? And
Oh, my
meanwhile,
heart hurts for her.
I know. And then meanwhile, Lily's over here like, oh my God, this tiny child is speaking French. She's smarter than me. And then Mafi toddles over and sits down with Jane and starts speaking French with her. And she's like, what? And at first
But
it's
she's
like,
so happy.
I know, at first it's like, oh my God, my child does like is smarter than me, but she's like so happy about this idea that
I
her
know.
child can speak another language.
No.
And we
Lily
also
doesn't
learn,
acknowledge how like smart she is herself.
I know, she's smart in other ways. She's just not
Yeah.
multilingual. That's okay. But Daisy also reveals that like when Reich babysits, he'll read Mafi books in Spanish. So it's possible that Maximov could learn how to speak Spanish too.
I love that. And I mean, this is something that kind of fits more like if we were to discuss the Like Us series,
Mm-hmm.
but just the way that their kids get everything that they didn't have and they make sure to have that. And it's like throughout the later books in the Addicted series and it's throughout all the Like Us books. And it's so cute. And like seeing the start of it here while they're just little babies,
I
but
know.
already like they just
What Lily's very happy that her baby is at this moment at least bilingual. We don't know if he's speaking Spanish or not, but he can speak English. He's gonna eventually speak English and French. And then we see that Willow is coming down into the kitchen, and Daisy thinks about like the fact that she's holding this secret. Like, of course Reich was gonna tell Daisy what
yeah, he needed someone to talk
Jonathan
to.
said, but she's the only other one that knows. Like, Lily doesn't know at this moment. Lo doesn't know.
And she's not going to
But
say anything, but it weighs on her because she and Willow have this really beautiful friendship now.
right, yeah,
And she doesn't feel right. Like, she's not going to say anything because it's not her secret to tell. And she doesn't feel right if she was to say something, but she also doesn't feel great about keeping it from Willow.
right, yeah. So she's thinking about that, but Lily is asking, did his ring choice surprise you? And this is where we find out that like Reich had only involved Rose insofar as asking her what Daisy's ring size was. They did not know what the
Yeah.
ring was going to look like at all. And Lily's like, I
This
thought
part
he
is
was
so
going to
funny.
get you a string. And she's like, you got her a string bracelet. And he's like, it was a hemp bracelet, Lily. I know how to like give her a gift that she wants. I know when to pick a good ring for her.
I think it's so funny because Daisy also, is it here? She also states like she would have been happy with another piece of twine.
Yes.
I think it to her it's just the act of like moving
It's yeah.
into
It's
that
that
like next
commitment.
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that Reich asked her alone, he could have asked her and like not had the ring yet, and she wouldn't have like it would have been as magical.
Absolutely. So they're Reich and Daisy are leaving to go to an appointment. They once again discuss like
That they
Reich is
want to try.
saying, yeah, Reich is like, I need to talk to you about something. You can change your mind about this. Because we don't necessarily know what the appointment is at this moment,
Yeah.
but he's talking about like, if you want to change your mind about trying to have kids, I would understand. Like, I would have had kids years ahead of time, years earlier. I can still have kids now. You're only 20 years old.
Like he's
You
happy
still,
to wait.
yeah, he can wait as long as she needs to. And he also reminds her, like, if you're pregnant, like, you may not be able to do cartwheels or like be super crazy and spontaneous like we usually are. Like, there's a possibility that you'll have to take a back seat a little bit. Can you do that? Like, are you prepared to handle that? But she's like, this is
Daisy's
one of those
answer is so
things.
cute.
I know. I know what I want. These are magic words. They carry so much power. The fact that, like, that they are magic words, like, she is finally using her voice. She is able to communicate, like, this is what I want. And he's like, all right, fine. That's what I needed to hear from you. I respect
Yeah.
that.
And like in regards to their whole adventurous life and the cartwheels, and she's like, but do you know what I believe? That having babies with you would be an awfully big adventure.
It
And it's
would.
so cute. And they talk about that a lot. They're like, oh, our next adventure, and like we're
Yes.
going on this adventure together. And
And
then they're
she's
like,
like, listen, I
it will
can,
just be another one.
yeah, fine. I can't do the cartwheels, but this is going to be just as like equally exciting for me.
Yeah.
And then that's where at the very end, she goes, it's not going to be easy for us. It's painfully clear by where we're headed, a fertility doctor. So that's where their appointment is.
And Rose and Connor are waiting in the car because they're
Yes.
joining them.
Yes. So the next chapter is them at the doctor's office. They're waiting for the doctor to come around. And it's just like this interesting dynamic of, because for the most part, like we've seen in earlier books, that like now that Daisy is with Reich, there's like this kind of little clique of Jonathan Hale's children and their significant others. Like they have this little like unit within the core six, and Rose and Connor are like on the outs of, and they're like, I don't like this, I need to know what's going on. But now, and now we're getting it as like two of the most private people in the core six, Reich and Daisy, and then the two nosiest people in the core six, and like
Yeah.
this new dynamic with them, and the fact that like Connor and Reich constantly butt heads. I think it's was in an earlier chapter where Reich talks about like there are certain times when I don't miss the fact that Connor has moved out and is in his own place. And those instances are usually when he's being really nosy or like pressing on my
Yeah.
buttons.
But then, like, their nosiness is them caring,
Yeah,
and
I know.
obviously they feel left out since they've made that big, like, move in terms of their lives, like moving into their big mansion
Mm-hmm.
and leaving the group. Well, like Lily and Lo's house, but like what was like the group home.
Right. But so Rose is like going around the doctor's office and like taking pictures of the diploma
Oh my God, it's so funny.
because she's like,
She's
I
like,
want to
I want
verify
to make,
late.
yeah, she's like, I want to make sure they're real.
He's like, I would have never recommended a doctor who cheated their way through medical school. God, I love them.
Yeah. I love that about all of these books is even though this is Reich and Daisy's book, we get little moments that are so Rose and Connor and like so
Absolutely.
perfectly there. The Lily and Lo ones, the ones with Willow and coming up.
You know who? Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, so they're just,
They're all a bit on edge.
yeah, they are. And it was also, Daisy said that she started spinning her engagement ring and she notices that that got Reich's attention. And I don't think because he didn't have it before, but this is something that we'll see. Like, I didn't realize how late it was in the series that we learned this. But Reich has shared with Daisy that he knows when Lo is craving alcohol because he'll start to twist his wedding ring.
I
But
think for
yeah, so
Daisy it's more
she's
like
just
Reich,
fidgety.
obviously like you said, like he notices it. But for
Yeah.
Daisy it's more like she can't sit still. She's fidgeting, she needs something to do because one, they're all on edge in the office, but she also is feeling and she's like she even says like someone say something and she's tried to fill the silence with stuff. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she stops when Reich like notices it because she knows what Reich knows
Where
that
Reich's
action
heads.
as.
Yeah. Yeah. What he associates that as.
Like,
The doctor comes in and
oh wait, there's a revelation before.
what was the revelation?
The fact is, obviously, they drove there on their motorbikes, but someone
Yes.
got a photo of
Yes.
Daisy's ring. It's like, oh, they already found out, and it's
Yes.
kind of just like, I think for most readers, it's like from how we know the tabloids and the paparazzi
How
in the
invasive they are.
relationship
Yeah.
for all of them over the last 8 books, it's just like you wish that they had a little bit longer
Yeah.
just themselves.
I do love though, she's getting like emails from Corbin Neary, who's her publicist, about they want Reich and Daisy to like make a statement because they did get the picture of her wedding ring. Like, let's confirm that you're engaged, and they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to tell you.
She's
Fuck
like,
you.
oh, maybe we'll just like put it on Instagram or Snapchat.
Yes.
It's like we're not going to make like a big statement. That's not us.
I love how kind of dated it makes it where
Yeah,
we'll make an announcement on Snapchat.
I know.
It was a thing back. But yeah, so then the doctor comes in, Dr. Yoshida, and he is supposed to be like one of the best fertility doctors on the East Coast. So she's like, if he can't help me, then I don't know who's going to help me, like how this is
Yeah,
going to work. And I do love this moment of like, he comes in and she's like, this is, does she start with, yeah,
she starts with Connor.
yeah, she's like, this is my brother-in-law Connor, and this is my sister Rose, and this is my fiance Reich. But I love that, like, she says he probably knows who we all are. We're very famous, but she's like, I'm still gonna keep it very real, and like, I'm gonna introduce all of us. I want this as normal as
Yeah,
possible.
and the doctor's very respectful,
Yes, he is.
which I like.
Um,
That's what they need. But yeah, they're both like. She's so giddy at the fact that she can refer to Reich as her fiance. Like she's like,
yes,
I'm someone's soon-to-be wife.
cute.
It's so cute. She's like, if I think about it in the context of Reich, I almost have a head rush. It's just
I love them.
they're so cute.
But then she talks a little bit about how she's pulling away from like her parents and their people because the doctor gives Connor an NDA. Like the doctor is being respectful, and there are HIPAA laws where like he's not allowed to talk about what's going on, but even still, they're going to have
Yeah,
him sign an NDA.
they've been burned before.
They've been burned very badly, but she talks about how like now she has her own accountant and her own lawyer, and they're not associated with her parents.
Yeah,
She
which
is
is
she
good.
is
Like she
gaining
needs,
that level of independence from them.
yeah. And it will help because obviously Greg and Samantha, one see her as like this wild child, but also as their youngest. And she's like, no, like I've grown and I'm 20 now, and she wants to move away from how they view her as just that little girl.
Yeah, she's
Especially
an
in
adult.
like, yeah, and especially when you think like in terms of how they reacted to her relationship with Wright.
Right.
She's like,
Yeah.
I'm not this 16-year-old girl who just does what you guys say. Like,
Right.
that's not me.
Yeah. And like she's making adult decisions. It's also like I'm not being flighty the way that you always think that I am. Like I am being proactive. Like she's making these big adult decisions and like actually seeking like professional. I don't know. It's just like her going to an accountant and like a financial advisor and a lawyer for all of this stuff means that like she's taking things seriously. She's not this flighty little girl that like her parents thought that she was at one point. Like she's making the adult moves.
She's very much grown
Yeah.
and like knows what she wants.
Yeah. So the doctor shows the scans of her ovaries and we learn a little bit more about what's been going on. So the cysts are inside her ovary and her fallopian tubes and they're called chocolate cysts, which she finds so cruel.
Yeah.
Someone
It's very unfair, especially for like Daisy, the chocolate queen.
chocolate chocolate loving queen. And she tries to
But
crack a
she was
joke
kind of
too.
prepared. Yeah. But no one is finding her jokes funny
No,
anymore.
which I appreciate. Like, she's obviously trying to like lighten the mood and they're like, Daisy, you don't need to. Like this can be a serious
Yeah.
moment and we can allow you to feel sad
Yeah,
about
like
it.
you can feel
Yeah.
all your feelings and like, you don't have to. I feel like she's so used to having to hide them
Yeah.
for like the modeling
And I
agencies and
think
everything and her
she also
parents
talks a
and
little bit too when the doctor puts up the scans of her ovaries. It's like it's still her body, and she talks about how my ovaries displayed for everyone to see. I grew up basically being told my human form belonged to photographers and designers, a mere canvas for other people to do whatever they please. I used to be desensitized to my body. So like, yeah,
because she's the owner of her skin now.
yeah. So like in other instances, like this could have brought her back, where like here it is, like this is the inside of your body and everyone gets to see it, no warnings. But like she does feel like she owns that bit of her,
Yeah.
which is good. But yeah, so
And it's really nice seeing her character develop.
yeah. So the doctor talks about so yeah, we're learning more. She has endometrioma. The cysts are in her ovaries. They talk about the size of the cysts and like what are her next steps.
Yeah, and all the
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. So, like, essentially, they want to try surgery and remove the cysts if they can. Especially, I think they want the ones on the left side
Left.
to be
Yeah.
removed. She has them on both, like both of her ovaries, and but the one on the left is the one that's causing the most concern right now. And Reich is
They discuss. Yeah.
the one that like advocates for, can she still get pregnant if they do the surgery? Can she still get pregnant? Because Rose and Connor are there as the surrogacy option, but
But Reich and Daisy have talked about what they want to do.
they really want to try themselves first. Then they haven't talked about this with Rose and Connor at this moment, but we know this. But Reich is the one being like, can she still get pregnant? Like, and she's like, thank you for asking these questions, Reich. That's an important one. Thank you, Reich. I just love her.
Yeah, because she's kind of, I think, like overcome and can't really. She says like, I can't think of the questions that I should be asking,
Yes.
and then Reich comes in with the little in clutch.
Yeah, and they they talk about like getting off birth control and like trying to regulate her periods as much as they can. She does have her irregular periods. And then he asks her about pain during sex. She talks about how like there were instances where she maybe thought Reich was big, but he was actually like hitting the cysts or like causing pain in the cysts. And she just didn't realize that that's what he was doing. So she has felt pain in the past having sex with Reich, and he is
Distraught about it.
very unhappy about this because he has.
But I think like Daisy clarifies that it was only like for a very short amounts of time, but even that to Reich is like
Yeah,
unacceptable.
no, definitely not. And then the doctor, is it here where the doctor like suggests like you could do doggy style where the penis comes in at a better angle, and she's like, do not look at Connor
Yes.
Cobalt.
Yeah, so the doctor, I think, is a good fit. Like, he's made no comment. He's very professional,
He's extremely
basically.
professional. I love Dr. Yoshida.
Yeah, that's exactly what Razy needs.
Yes, and
They deserve the
I mean,
professional
he delivers
of all of
results.
that.
Listen, we get some very good results from Dr. Yoshida.
Me too. And
So,
then, yeah, he's discussing the fact that kind of regardless of how they go about the pregnancy, like they obviously want to try naturally, but he does mention like that depending on the cyst, depending on the surgery, they might have to try IVF,
mhm,
and obviously then potentially the last like avenue would be surrogacy. But he kind of stresses to Daisy that it will be a high risk pregnancy for her
right.
regardless of whether that, and like there's a lot that she needs to like think about and
Hmm.
know. And then obviously Rose and Connor are very much like logical people
Yes.
and very much like, you know, Daisy and Rose have spoken about surrogacy, and Rose is like very happy and like willing to do this.
Yes.
And then it comes to they kind of like Reich and Daisy are like, okay, we have to like tell them now.
Yeah. Well, so Connor, Connor comes to them first. Like Dr. Yoshida leaves them on like whatever route you decide, like is the route.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna help you. And then he leaves, and Connor speaks first, and he's like worrying about Daisy's mental health, that if she miscarries, like if she does get pregnant, but she miscarries the baby, that could be really detrimental for her mental health because she suffers from depression. So,
And they've obviously, like we've discussed, even though if they haven't explicitly said anything, they've seen how just being around Morphe and Jane
yeah,
has caused pain for Daisy and obviously Reich as well. And then so it's like they know what will happen
right.
should the worst happen.
Yeah. And I just like this little bit of Frederick told me I was his best patient the other day. I beat Connor Cobalt. Therefore, I should be fit for anything. And Connor's like, I sincerely doubt those were Rick's exact words. And then he takes out his phone like he's gonna text Frederick.
He's like, I can just think of his text like, Daisy just said that you said that she's your favorite. Obviously, he doesn't speak like that, but I'm just imagining his like frantic text, and like Frederick's probably like in another appointment with another client, and he's like, Oh, Connor.
Connor, so funny.
Also, then we get this moment between Reich and Daisy where they have their like iconic quote,
Yes,
150 miles per hour, no brakes.
yes. And then this
They're
is,
so, they know what this
yes,
like choice means, but they want it.
yeah, they reaffirm it with each other with this, their little, it's not their slogan, but like, I'm like, the Razy catchphrase. I don't know what it is.
Almost.
Um,
But they have so many
they
actually.
do, but this one's pretty iconic. 150 miles per hour, no brakes, and then and he says, "I'm right beside you, Calloway." And then they turn to Rose and Connor and they tell them, "We're gonna try to get pregnant by ourselves first."
And it's so that Daisy can carry the baby.
Yes, yeah. Daisy wants to carry. She's gonna try to carry the baby on her own first, and Rose is like, "You can't just decide that." And they're like, "Well, we just did."
Yeah. And Rose is being like a very great older sister, and she's like almost fighting tears because she is very aware of like all of the medical risks
Yes.
and like everything again in their like logical way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, it's not just
And so it's hard for them to understand
right.
like Reich and Daisy's decision.
Yeah, they're like Reich and Daisy really, really want this and they're willing to try this first. They're just not the kind of people that like they see the risk and maybe like Connor's the one that sees risks and picks the option that brings him the most benefit. And Reich and Daisy, like the one that would bring them the biggest benefit is surrogacy because it means Daisy's life isn't at risk. And they're not the kind of people that want that. They want to like Daisy wants to carry a child by herself, like on her own.
And she states even a few pages earlier, she's like, this risk is worth it, even if it kills her.
Yeah.
And obviously she has a very like complicated relationship with death
Yeah.
because of her like PTSD and depression, but it's very hard for Rose and Connor to understand
Yeah.
Daisy and Reich's decision making process because it's not how they would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But Daisy has a great quote somewhere in here. It's like, just because like we think differently or you don't understand what we value doesn't mean it's not valuable.
So many good moments. And then we get this little bit of Connor where he's like, I have a daughter and a wife now, so I'm going to do you a courtesy and tell you what I would tell them if they were in your situation. You're making a mistake. Both of you are. And Reich does not take this very well.
No.
And Connor goes on, you view risks as tape you can tear through and not walls meant to block you. I'm not saying you're blind because you're not. You see your vulnerabilities, but you just don't care. Neither of you do. It's as if death is another thrill and it's almost sick to watch. Your lives have value and your deaths have none. It's not worth carrying a baby to term, climbing a rock without a harness, or every other risk you two take in your spare time. Like, this is Connor telling Daisy you need to be careful. Like, you could die, but he's also like, this is something that Connor has seen in Reich for a long time, and he's still trying to tell Reich, like, you take a lot of risks when you rock climb and you free solo. And it's mentioned a little bit in Fuel the Fire, where when Reich goes into surgery, he's like, if something happens to me, I need you to take care of Daisy. And Connor's like, there's no way you're gonna die by anything other than your own pursuits. Like, you're gonna die. If you're gonna die, it's gonna be through rock climbing. So if there is this fear of you dying, then like stop doing it. But like that's who Reich is. And it's
Yeah. And it's a big topic in this book
yes.
that it's very difficult for the rest of the core six to understand why Reich and Daisy take the risks that they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's difficult as well for Reich and Daisy to explain
Yeah.
how why because for them it's so intrinsic, it's who they are
It's
at their core.
very, very much who they are. Like I talked about it in Fuel the Fire that like rock climbing is not just this job for Reich. It's so much more than that. It's his hobby, it's his identity. Like that's who he is.
And we learn more like later in this book about how much it kind of saved him and how he's been doing it since he was super
Yeah.
young and who it brought into his life and
Because I think he talks about it a
like
little
how
bit too in earlier books that like he kind of did track because I was more like what Sarah, his mom, wanted, and that she finds rock climbing kind of questionable. She doesn't always
yeah
necessarily approve that he does rock climbing. So it's like this as the yes kid, this was truly like his one thing that he chose to do himself against his mom's
And
wishes.
obviously running, like free track running has brought him, like he continues to run
Yeah.
and he does his ultra marathons, but it's not the same as rock
Right.
climbing for him.
Right. Yeah. But so
So
they
yeah,
have
they
that
have
moment,
a
and
bit of a fight.
yeah, a little bit of a, we didn't really want to hear that from you, Connor, but okay. But Daisy tries to lighten, I guess, the mood, and she asks Rose that, like, we now know at the end of Fuel the Fire that Rose and Connor, their intention is to continue to grow their family until they have another girl, and when
Yes,
they have their girl, that's the end of their family.
they're leaving up to fate.
Yes. So that means that Rose and Connor are going to continue to have babies. And she asks if, while Daisy is trying to get pregnant, Rose could also get pregnant, because Rose and Lily had that experience of being pregnant together. And she wants to have,
Yeah,
also wants to experience that with Rose. She wants that added sister bond between the two of them. So she's asking, Rose, will you try, Rose, will you try and get pregnant? Essentially, that's what she's asking.
yeah. And on paper, it's really
It
cute
is really cute.
because
Yeah, she does it.
like
She
the
says it a lot
sisters,
better than I'm saying.
yeah, but like the sisters have come so
They
far
have.
from how it was very much like Rose and Lily always, and even in Hot House Flower. But it's very much like Daisy is very much back, like closer with her sisters again. And it's a very sweet or like bittersweet moment because it would just be really lovely for her and Rose to have that.
Hmm.
Because Daisy has, I think, at so many points felt left
She
out
has felt, yeah,
or
left
left
behind.
behind. And she really,
Yeah,
like, she's gotten so much closer with her
and I
sisters. So it'd be
do
lovely for
love
her to
how
have that.
Rose handles this, of like, because she talks in Fuel the Fire, like, they did that whole seance sleepover thing at the lake house because they had had sleepovers in the past and they had left Daisy behind. So that was like an instance of her trying to rectify their past and include Daisy. And she continues to do that. And she's like, we're just going to have to plan this really well. But like, yes, my answer is I will try to get pregnant when you're pregnant so that we can experience this. I will not leave you behind.
It's very funny thinking about that. Like when you said how she's basically like, can you just get pregnant at the same time? And then Rose being like, we'll have to plan it very well. And just imagining like Connor's calendar. It is like linked up with like Rikes, and they have to be like, okay,
Tonight's the night.
like the logistics of that.
We'll be upstairs and you'll be down in the basement.
Or they'll be like, since they don't live together, they'll be like texting and
That's
be like,
true. Yeah, they
you
moved
guys
out.
too? Remember today?
I cannot picture. Rick would be like, I want to leave this text thread. I
It's
remove
like would
myself
just be
from this
fun.
shared.
Their friendship has come a long
It
way, but
has.
they're always so funny.
Oh my god, yeah. Their dynamic is hilarious. And then the chapter ends with Daisy getting a text message from her mom being like, we're planning an
Oh God.
engagement party and like, this is the time and date. You can't miss it. Like, there is no getting out of this.
Yeah.
And Reich is the one that's like, we have to give this to her because, and she's like, what? Why? And he's like, we haven't told your parents that we're about to try and have a kid. Like, let's at least give her this engagement party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little do they know.
Yeah.
But I found the quote that I was saying, and I think also what I really liked about Fuel the Fire and then this book and the last book is kind of how Daisy and Connor's friendship develops.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really nice that I think that Daisy feels comfortable enough to speak up, and she says something really, really important. She's like, maybe those things are just worth more in our eyes than they're in yours. So, like we said, like it's difficult for them to understand because Reich and Daisy they don't, I think sometimes from what we see, like from Connor's perspective or Lois' perspective, they're just like, you just don't care if you die and how that will affect us. And they're like, we do. We obviously, that's not what it is at all, but those things are worth it to them
Yeah.
because that's who they
Yeah,
are.
that's what they value. She puts it so well. So we're going to end part one of the Long Way Down discussion here, and we will pick up with part two next week. So until then, continue to stay addicted to Krista and Becca's writing like us.